it dang old complicated, you know, man. It's like a dang old Rubik's Cube, man. You like talking about it, blue, red, man, then you get to one side, and then you like messed up the other side, man.
Yes, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. Today is October 3rd. The wild card round of the postseason is wrapped up. Let's talk about the Pirates postseason week.
It's fine.
Good morning to all who listen in the morning.
Yeah, it is a good morning there, little man.
Good afternoon and evening to everyone else. It's Friday.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Yeah, you could do that. You've probably already gotten dressed for the day, but I always play that anyway. Wild card round is over. We'll take a minute. We'll talk about it. We'll get into some Pirates stuff, obviously. The most important stuff for all of us that are listening here. All right, the results. First off, Dodgers beat the Reds in 2. One NL Central team down. And the Dodgers, you know, as much as they looked like they were going to struggle this year, at least into the postseason. I mean, they did not look like the dominant team that you thought. Down the stretch, they got a little bit better. They ended up with 93 wins. But I think there was a while when you were kind of curious, Padres might take it from them, which they finished with 90. So, I mean, they absolutely still could have. But when you've got all that kinds of money and you spend it all, and you're just too deep, like you can absorb things like that. And then when you get to this moment in the season, Mookie Betts in particular, I'm thinking about, they're just going to rise to the occasion. They're just that good. We'll see. The Tigers beat the Guardians, which actually was the only one I didn't pick out of this group. I had the Guardians going. The Tigers, the way they fell apart, I just thought there's no way. They're absolutely done. And they found a way, man. They found a way to turn it around and beat the Guardians. And, you know, the Guardians kind of kicked themselves a few times, but all in all, game 2 showed they weren't going to be done. Scooble game 1, every team so far in this 3-game wild card round, every team that's won the first game has won the series until the Yankees, but we'll get to them. The first team that's done that. That's come back and won 2 straight after losing the first one. The Tigers with Scooble, that's just a tough matchup, and they walked away with that one. And then they were able to put together a big inning against the Guardians on Thursday in the final game, and so they get it. And I don't know, I was watching it and I thought the Tigers were really good this year, like really good for a large chunk of the season. And I don't know, just kind of got curious to say, like, if they get through this series, do they get a little momentum and maybe catch some of that made them so good early on? Maybe we'll I think at the end of this thing, I'll go over the next round and who I think is going to be there. The Cubs beat the Padres. NL Central does survive that one. They beat the Padres, and the games yesterday weren't as close as they have been in some ways. So, and then the Yankees, the night game, the Yankees beat the Red Sox. Our guy, David Bednar, closing out both wins back-to-back days. First team to advance from the wild card round after losing the first game of the series. So a couple interesting things here as they move on to the next round. The Cubs and Brewers in division will play each other. We had the Tigers and the Guardians playing each other there. So, also the Yankees and Red Sox, but then the Yankees will then play the Blue Jays. So there'll be another team advancing, and the Yankees will continue to play teams within their division. And I think that's a little bit of an advantage. You know those teams a little bit more. They know you a little bit more, so maybe not, but I don't know. I still think there's a little bit there that you play a familiar team. Now, they won't have home field advantage here, but at least it won't be all in New York. But either way, it played out as you would think there. And, Bednar doing his thing. The Renegade doing his thing. Love to see it. Jamison Tyone was a starting pitcher for the Cubs. Love to see it. He got the Cubs going and shut them down. I think he only threw 4 innings and they moved on. But, do or die game, you kind of do things like that. The Padres are that good. They pitch really well, so you weren't sure, if you were going to be able to tack on or anything at that moment. So good on JMO. We still like him. All right, so let's get back to Pirates here. And let's go back to the coaching decisions for a minute. And I think I'm just going to stick on that for this week. That's been the thing this week. And we've got plenty of time in the offseason to talk about a lot of things. And so I'm just going to stay put for a minute because I know I started down a certain path Wednesday, but I also feel like there were still a lot of emotions, you could say, that we were working from on Wednesday. I've heard a lot more commentary on this from fans and whatnot, and I'm going to say it again. I said it the other day, but I don't think that these are all the moves that they will make. But also to clarify why there are certain moves made now and not later and so on. We know now. I mean, we've had enough to know, and I think we knew this even on Wednesday, but we know that Strom essentially resigned. And he did this early on. And I don't know if there was maybe he understood that there were going to be changes. And if he did, he would have said, listen, I'm not going to come back. I came here for this. This is it. I don't really know. I don't know if things got ugly. He seemed to not think so. But talking about Oscar Marin on his way out was really positive, and that I think was before that decision was made. So I'm not really sure if he knew what was coming or not, but Strom not fired. Okay. It's been clear that Rebello and Marin's contracts were up and that they were not being brought back. Technically not fired. So I think that's an important distinction for Oscar Marin specifically. Because this is a guy that a lot of people have said when in their complaints and so on that, he wasn't the problem. Why would you fire him? Why would they do that? I think it's important to say that his contract was up. They're just not rehiring him. They're not bringing him back. They're moving on. And so and before you go at your car speaker, say, come on, man, they were essentially fired. That's how this works. We know they weren't technically fired, but they essentially, whatever. Okay. It's 6-1, half dozen the other, right? I mean, they're not coming back. So however you want to look at it, but it's important to remember this is Don Kelly's team for real this time. And he has a right to build whatever staff he wants to. I said this Wednesday. I'm not sure I drove this home enough. If he's being hired under the pressure to make this thing work, and don't be fooled, there's pressure. And I know that we feel like, well, what's the pressure to be a 500? No, there's pressure. Even if they don't know what they're doing, there's pressure because they think that this is you heard it, full stop, playoff team, whatever. If Donnie's being asked to make this thing work, he's going to want to do it with his guys, not Derek Shelton's guys. And I think that's a fair assessment. We step back for a second, sticking to Oscar Marin. We talked about this. We've heard that there was some player input that has gone into this decision. Obviously, I don't know who gave their 2 cents, but the story goes like this. Those who did speak up thought that they could take this another step forward. That's it. That's what I've heard. Not that he wasn't good enough. They can't stand him. but just that it could be better. And so, I don't know if you could imagine with me for a minute. I don't have music that plays that's like, imagine. That was my best effort. Sorry, guys. Imagine this was approach. Hey, guys, I have a chance to build my staff. Oscar's contract is expiring. I know that you guys had a lot of success last year. I know that you guys have worked with him, and maybe he knows one way or another what's going on there. I would imagine he would know what's going on there. Maybe he knew there was some tension somewhere or some guys saying, I would like to do it this way. And Oscar said, this is the way we're doing it. I don't know. But there would be a reason he would approach those guys, right? And say, hey, his contract's up. I have an opportunity to build my own staff. Can I bring in someone else? Or is this the guy I have to bring back? Right? Don't you think that there was something like that? Like, if this is the guy that you think is going to work the best with you, then by all means, I'll bring him back for you. Or else, I've got a couple other guys in mind that I'd like to bring in. Do you think it was something like that? Because the pitchers, if the pitchers loved Oscar and wouldn't want him going anywhere, I imagine he would stick with him. It's speculation, but you can understand that this is how something like this could have happened. So again, I say, not necessarily fired. Now, further moves. Why haven't we heard about this yet? Why haven't there been any other moves? A lot of people are saying, we can't hit. Why not Matt Haig? Well, they don't have to say anything yet. There's no need to say anything, really. But also, I imagine there's more talks going on because these guys are apparently still on contract. So this would have to be a firing, or you have to let guys go if you're going to bring in new guys. And again, I'll keep saying, he has the right to bring in his guys. That's the way this thing goes. If you hire a new manager, you're essentially getting a new staff. And everybody knows that. And this is just a weird one because he took over. They could be doing something like moving guys to different roles so that they don't have to actually let them go, or asking the guys if they would accept different roles. There's scenarios that could play out here that would hold this stuff for however long it needs to. They're in no hurry to make these kind of moves. So what would you do? Hitting coach Matt Haig, who's only been here 1 year. Still, if he's not Donnie's guy, then maybe they could move on. If he's like, you know what, I really think we could go this other way. I mean, he's been in that role. He would be able to do that. So I could see that being one of the moves that they would consider making. However, as far as what I would think of a hitting coach, I just don't think after 1 year. I think that there's more to do. Certainly didn't fix things. That's for sure. First base coach Tarek Brock, we talked about him. He's on Broughton McHenry's SMP podcast. Either just was or is about to be. But either way, they're not going to make a move with him until that airs, at least. They're not going to, I'm sure it's been recorded for weeks or months or whatever. Maybe not quite that long, but I'm sure it's been done. They've had time to do something like that. So could they be making a move with him? He's one I brought up before too. He's also the outfield coach. Sure would be nice to get a different voice in that room for this outfield. And I'm not really sure we're running bases great either. I mean, if you look back at the roster and just look at stolen base numbers, 115 on the year, it's mostly bumped up because of Cruz leading the National League in stolen bases. But next to him was IKF with 15. Triolo had 13. And then Hayes had 10. Two of those guys don't even play for this team anymore. 7 was Adam Frazier and Jack Swinski. Jack Swinski might not play for him. Adam Frazier doesn't play for him. Next was 5. That's Tommy Pham. He's not going to play for this team anymore. And then Leover Peguero and G1 Bay, who are 2 guys who have the potential to not play for this team anymore. You see where I'm going with this. Then you have Brian Reynolds with 3. Henry Davis with 2. Canario with 3. Might not play with this team next year. Kutch, Bart, York. Those guys they all had 1. And then Spencer Horwitz with 0. He's not very fast. Nick Gonzalez with 0. He is fast. Nick Gonzalez is a fast base runner. Why does he not steal bases? He had 5 last year. You've got nothing. Maybe just not on base enough. I guess that would probably be pretty fair. But you would expect this team to be able to steal more bags. And I don't know if that's solely on him. Mendy Lopez is the infield coach. The defense was bad all around last year. Aside from Henry Davis and Jared Triolo. And Key Brian Hayes when he was here, by all means. Steven Morales, Chris Truby, both in the room, former Indianapolis managers. I don't want to really speculate on who should be next or who's going to be next. I feel like it's not even worth hyping it up. But because I feel like Don Kelly has every right to bring in a full new team, it could be all of them. It could be some of them. It's a weird scenario because the guy taking the job just served as an in-season replacement, and he was previously on the staff with all these guys. So it makes it a little bit different. When Pat Murphy took over for Craig Counsell in 2024, he kept most everyone the same into 2024, almost the whole staff. But in 2023, the Brewers won the division with 92 wins. And he was on the staff with all those guys. Why change it? And since then, they've won the division both years that he's been manager. So Counsell and the Cubs have been left in second place. But the thing is every scenario is going to be different. By the way, Cubs Brewers NLDS starting Saturday. It's exciting. There's 2 managers going up against each other. There's a lot of time left for them to make more coaching changes. And as I've said before, the more the better, really. We're not the 2023 Brewers with 92 wins. We're the 2025 Pirates with 91 losses. This team needs a change of scenery in that clubhouse. There needs to be some uncomfortable dudes in there. So postseason 2026, full stop or whatever he said. There's a lot of work to do, both in roster construction and for individual players to do what they need to do in the offseason to get better. Because there's going to be a lot of internal growth. There has to be if this is ever going to work. Maybe that's something that we should talk about Sunday on Sunday night's show with Jake. Maybe like a 2026 wish list of sorts. Maybe not, specific outside players or anything. And we got plenty of time to go over something like that, but maybe we can put something together like that. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the chat or put them in the comments underneath the YouTube video, or I think Spotify will do comments. I can check in there and just see if there's some way to nudge us that direction, or hit us up on Twitter or whatever and see if we can do that. So division series starts this Saturday. Who you got? I'll put mine out there, and the same thing. Comment if you have anybody you're pulling for or you're just picking. Me personally, these are my picks, not necessarily who I'm rooting for. I've got Phillies over Dodgers, Brewers over Cubs, Yankees over Blue Jays, and Mariners over the Tigers. Technically, I have Mariners over the Guardians because I had the Guardians moving on. They were the only one I got wrong in the first round, so we'll see how that continues to go. I think all in all, I've got the Mariners going all the way against the Phillies. But I've said it before, I think it'd be cool to see Mariners Brewers because neither team has ever even made it to the World Series. As bad as we look at the Pirates from what they've been in most of our lifetimes, at least we have 5 World Series championships, and you've got these 2 teams who have ties to each other too, because the Pilots moved after 1 year from Seattle to Milwaukee to be the Brewers, and then the Mariners started after that. So kind of an interesting tie there. Not that anybody that's playing now cares, but it would be interesting to see something like that. Guardians are out. It's been a long time for them. But, I like to look at that kind of stuff and see if we can get some fresh blood around there. But all in all, right now, Mariners, Yankees will be the next stage. and Phillies Brewers, if I'm right. See how far I go there. Come hang out Sunday night for the live show. That'd be great. We love the live chat. We love getting to hang out with these guys and everything, but it helps us with questions and comments and calling us out. And there's going to be a lot of that in the off season, just different beliefs and different, I would rather go here. I would rather do this and that. And I think that, me and Jake might try to carve some of that out in what we would think. But
this is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So it's Friday. Come hang out Sunday night. Have a great weekend. Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Subscribing to your platform of choice is the best way to be notified for new episodes. And now, new episodes every weekday. Remember, live shows with my dad and Uncle Jake are Sundays at 9 p.m. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and join them in the live chat every Sunday. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2 Buctober. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.